well as usual. Hey, my Renaissance grandma, how you doing? Thank you for being here. What's going on? All right, this is a late night. Hi, Pop Farm, how you doing? Thank you for being here. What's going on? All right, this is a late night live. This is a pretty late night live, but what we're going to talk about tonight, we're going to talk about owning land and buying land. And yes, so let's move on with that. Yes, thank you guys for being here. Truly appreciate you guys. So let's move on. I buying land, it's a very good investment. Why it's a very good investment? It's something that you could buy and maintain, and it will never rotten. It's not something that's gonna waste away. It's something that it could last. It will always be there. Many different places you have when the thing is with land, right? You got to look into there's places where land is not developed. When we say the land is developed, we mean like there's no road and there's no water. So if you invest in this type of land, you might get these land for pretty cheap. And years to come by, when these lands start developing, then the price, the value of these land gonna start raising. So in my journey to success, AK, how you doing? So investing in land is very important. And I think it's a pretty good idea to invest in land. If you're trying to invest in land, first you want to know it's best to do some research. Do some research, speak to someone that can really give you the information that you really need. The first thing you want to do, you want to think about what what's the purpose of me buying this piece of land? What's the purpose? Why am I buying a piece of land? What do I want this land for? Do I just want the land for an investment? Or do I just want, or do I want the land to for farming or agriculture or build a house? This is very important. This is very important. This is you got to come to yourself and sit down and think what's the purpose of me buying this piece of land or buying a piece of land. This is very important because you got to remember land in certain areas, you have commercial land, you have residential land, and you got farming land. Okay? That's three I'm naming out for you. So say you in that area where you might want a commercial property. Say you want to invest in a commercial property. Why? Because in the future, someone might need that property, that piece of land, and that piece of land could value. That piece of land could really value. These type of land where commercial, where people might need it to build a store, I might need a gas station, a McDonald's, whatever. These type of land, commercial land, could really, they're gonna be more expensive, but it's good investment. So Say you don't want the commercial because that's not what you want. You might want the residential because the residential is where you actually go in and buy, you want to build a house. Or you might want to invest in a residential land because maybe you might want to sell it in the future to get something bigger. So by buying a residential, you could that could sell as a residential property. Remember, residential property only for building homes. You see, commercial property is for commercial. You cannot build commercial like for you cannot use residential land for commercial. You also cannot use residential land in certain places for farming, where you're rearing animals, you're rearing cows, you're rearing goat, you're rearing all type of animals. There are certain places you cannot rail them. You cannot rail them in a residential. So what you're looking for, you're gonna be looking for a farmland because you want to rail animal. So this is what I'm saying. You have to sit down and decide what you want to invest into and go for it. It's important because you might say, all right, I'm going to buy this residential, but in your mind, or you might never realize to yourself it's a residential. You just see it and you like it. But at the same time, your goal is I want to real animal. I want to real a cow. I want to do my farming. But no, this land is not for that. This is a residential. So no, you because you did do your research, you buy a residential and you want to do commercial and you want to do farming. So it's important to know these things. So how you know these things, you go down to the zoning. You go down to zoning and you ask about the property. The property you're trying to invest into, you go into zoning and you ask, what type of property is this? Zoning gonna give you just give them the address of the property, of the land or the location. However, they will tell you exactly what you can do with this property or what you cannot do. They, if you want a printout, they might even give you a printout of this that you know exactly what this property for. If you're looking for residential, you got to make sure it's a residential you're buying. If you're looking for farming, you got to make sure it's farming you're buying. Whatever you're looking for, it's important to know. So zoning will help you identify what you can do on this property. And this is very important. So this is your step before moving forward of purchasing a piece of land. It's very important for you to know what you're looking for and what you want. All right? Okay. So say you decide you want to buy. Say you decide you want to buy the farming. You want to buy a piece of land because you want to do farming, agriculture, where you could grow your food, you could rear your animal without any problem. So what you do, you go and you check out the land. Yes, you go and you check out the land. You make sure the land is right. If you don't know much about land, you take somebody with you. You take somebody with you who understand farmland and you know that they could give you ideas of what kind of land you need. and the best type of land for farmland, because you don't want to make no mistake. Whatever you buy, you want to make sure this is what you're looking for and what you want. Hello, Cindy Place. Hello, Holy Living. How you doing? Thank you guys for being here. Yes. So if you're looking for farmland, you want a real animal. You want to make sure that this land is designed a certain way. You don't want the land to have steep slope like this. Like steep slope. You need a piece of land that's walkable. There's many land out there that's on slope and very difficult to deal with. So you want to make sure that this land is walkable for you to rear your animals. You also want to make sure that the land you don't have no area where it's flooding and water is settling. You want to make sure these things, because by water settling does create situation, disease, and you're rearing animals. So you got to be careful of these things. You don't want too much water settling. You want the land must be walkable, able for you to do what you want to do. This is why it's important to go out with someone with experience to give you more understanding of how a farmland should be. Don't go into these things blind, because sometimes you go into these things blind and then you end up regret. You see, because now you invest all this money and then it's not exactly what you want to do. No, you want a real animal. You don't want the land to slope down like this. This is going to be very uncomfortable and difficult for the animal. So you want to make sure you check there's not too much area that water just settle and just be there, just creating mosquito and all kind of parasite. You want to make sure that it's drainable. If rain come, at least the water can drain and go its way, not settle and creating situation. So with the farmland, you want to make sure that it's walkable for you and the animal. Well, thank you for that, Holy Living. And now I was going to mention this as well. Now I was going to mention this. It's not every land you could get with creek. With a creek running in the back of the land. Not every land you will able to get creek. But a creek is very important. Like for instance, all right, like for instance, you have animal and running water. Once the water is running in the creek, water is good. When it's settled, that's when it's a problem. If it's running, it's a better quality of water than if it's just settled there and not moving, just there. You see what I'm saying? So a creek is very important for a farmland, because if you have the farm, the animal, the creek is right there. You could lead them to the creek, or you could surround it, however, that they could just walk down and drink their water and walk back out. So a creek is very important. A creek also is very important. A creek also is very important if you even purchasing a residential land. Very important. That's water. You have access to water. It mightn't be water that you can drink directly, but you have access to water in case anything. But when come on a residential on a creek land, let me talk about this with the creek. Let's talk about creek on property, residential property. Creek on residential property, you got to be very careful as well. Why you got to be careful with creek and residential property? Because this is why you got to make sure you go for zoning. You got to make sure you get the survey. It's best you even get it surveyed, because the surveyor will give you the information exactly where you could build a house and where you can't. But let's go with the creek. Certain places you got to be at least 75 feet away from that house before you could build. For residential, you need 75 feet away from, well, certain places. I'm not sure if every place is like that. But because of flooding, before it was fine. But now, since they start to put them as flooding zone, so you gotta make sure that the creek, you have enough land from the creek that you can build your house. Some areas you need 175 feet away from the creek, and that's where you can build your house. So residential, it's good to have creek, but make sure you get a surveyor for check out the area. Make sure you have enough space to build with the creek. This is very important. This information is for making you not get into situation and then you regret. Okay, so buying land is one thing, but it's important to buy what you want and know what you want. Okay, so buying a piece of land with creek on top of it, with a creek on top of it, for as a residential property, you got to look into that as well. You have to have enough space away from the creek to build your house. So look into that. All right? It's very important. Very, very important. You want to buy a property, do your research, go to the zoning, get all the information you need about that property before you proceed. Yes, if you're buying land, let's go with this area now. If you're buying commercial land, if the land ain't have no gas line, etc. AI Snap, so how you doing? Thank you for being here. If the property have no gas line and no water line, yes, that could be a little costly when you're ready to buy a property, when you're ready to build a property. So keep this in mind. Keep this in mind. If you're buying a property that did not develop, don't have gas line, don't have water line, you will, and you decide you want to build a house on that property, you will have to pay to get these things installed, run through your property. So all that you need to do, research on how much these things gonna cost. So this is why it's important to know what you want to do with the property. Do you want the property to invest as an investment you could sell in the future? Or do you want the property to live on? Like say you buying a residential property. Are you looking for it to build a house in the future? Or are you just looking for it as an investment? Same with a residential. Are you looking for it to just an investment? Or you planning on build a store on there one day? You have to make up your mind on what you want to do. Do you want to invest in this land? Or you planning on keeping it for yourself? So now if you decide to keep it for yourself, have in mind you will have to develop it yourself by getting gas line run to it if that's what you want. Some people don't, some people eliminate gas line and only do electricity. You see, some people don't do gas, some people just do one electricity because electricity could run your stove, it could run your heating without gas. So a lot of people looking into these option. So it's a lot to look into. So this video is basically to prep you as a new someone who really trying to get into buying land. Make sure you know what you want. Make sure you go to zoning, figure out what you can do on this property because you need to know that because you need to know, you already know what you want it to do. You want it to build a house or you want it for investment to sell in the future. So this is very important. Creek on your property, it's nice because what? Access to water. What is better than access to water? But at the same time, a creek on your property, depending on where the creek is, could lower the value of your property as well. Because in certain area, because it's creek, what could happen? They could list it as a flood zone. They could list the property as a flood zone. So because the property is listed as a flood zone, the value of the property will drop. You see, once it come as a flood zone, the value of the property will drop. So it's a lot of information you need to do. You need to know when come and purchasing property. This is important, guys. Hello, Natural Growth TV. Hello, everybody. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you guys here. Yes, guys. So if you interested in owning land, you have to sit down and make decision. You got to ask question. You got to go into these places, ask question. Let them give you printout with information, things that you need, things that require, so you already know. But your first step is to know, what am I buying this property for? Am I buying it to invest? Or I'm buying it for personal property? This is very important. You are a wealth of information and well appreciated. All right, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. Yes. So when we're talking about creek and your land, very nice. I mean, what access to water is the greatest thing. But before if you're buying it for investment property, make sure you check if it's a flooded zone, a flooded area. Because it's a flooded area, the value ain't gonna be too, you see, because they're flooded. Now people might want to buy it from you because they worry about the flood. It's an area that can be, if the water rise too high, it can flood the area. So nobody gonna want to buy that. So if you buy it for investment, it might be difficult for you to sell in the future. So it's a wide range where you got to look in as into if you really trying to buy land. But I'm going to tell you this. Buying land is one of the greatest thing you can do today. Owning land, it doesn't matter where you at, any part of the world you at. If you could own a piece of land, you should definitely do it. Get into it. It's a good investment. It's a very good investment that you could hold on to. All you do, you maintain your tax. You got to make sure you pay that tax. Because if you don't pay the tax, you can lose the property. Remember that, guys. You cannot buy land and don't pay for the tax. You cannot buy land and don't pay for the tax. I have a blueprint. I have a blueprint. I did part one. I did part one in that blueprint on my channel, yeah. On this channel, Plant a Garden TV. I have four parts, but I did one already, part one. I think you guys should check that out because this blueprint, all right, thank you. This blueprint that I have is for people to own property, own land, buying land, and grow, owning real estate without owing anyone, without owing the bank, without owing anybody. This is you purchasing your land with your money. But I want to say this. It's not going to happen overnight. You see what I'm saying? It's a blueprint, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's a growing process. But what is better than grow? Owning properties. Every year you own a piece of land. And you ain't owe anyone. You ain't got to worry about mortgage. You ain't got to worry about if you ain't make no payment this month or 3 months, you lose your land. You ain't got to worry about that. So this is for the people, especially the people who do not have good credit, who do not have access to finance that they could go to financial institute and borrow money. This for these people. There's people who would not want to go that road because they have a job and they have credit. So they could go in to these institute and get money borrow. But my thing is, you could start from scratch and grow into something without worrying about if you don't have mortgage. You cannot pay your mortgage, you lose the whole everything. Why? If there's other ways you can do what you got to do and get there, it might take longer. But the thing is, sometimes we try to go all the way. Sometimes we try to go all the way and it backfire on us. Not every time. Some people it works for them, but a lot of people it hurts them because you get into these heavy loans and then you got to maintain paying for them. So this blueprint will guide you. And who knows, you might get lucky because you might buy a piece of land. You could buy a piece of land and guess what? This piece of land could get developed. All it need is companies start coming in close by around that piece of land. All it need, companies or houses start building up, new houses start building up. And just like that, your property price rise. Then people coming to you now, are you selling? You selling this property? So now it's up to you. if you want to say, all right, I'm going to sell it and go and buy something bigger or in a different area. So guys, check out that video. It's a blueprint. Check out that video. And I have 3 more parts to come in that. That's going to be very interesting because this is ways of growing your real estate without worrying about mortgage. If you do it this way, it might take, some people get lucky in 3 years. Their life has transformed with this blueprint. Some people in 5 years, their life has transformed. Some people just take longer because it's not gonna work for everybody. Some people take more time, but some people get lucky. All it takes that where you get this property, land, people start building houses around, or a company might come in and build a warehouse or something, and like that, your value of your price, your value of your land or your property rise. Okay, let me go in the chat, see the question. I have come across 2 companies asking for seller finance as well as cash. All right, okay. Not expensive either, but some have HOA. Some don't allow certain structure like mobile. This is why, you see what I'm saying? Thank you for saying that. But this is why I say, do your research. You don't want to buy a property and a commercial property that you love and want to build something there. And when you check it out, it's not zoned for what you want to build. So now then you stop. Because what you want to do, you cannot do it on that property because it's not zoned for that. This is why you have to sit down, think about everything, think about all the possibility, think about what you need to do, build it, what type of house you need to build, how much story, how much family. Some property you cannot build, you only could build 1 level. You see, some property you only could build 1 level. Some property you could go up 2 floors. Some property you only could build 1 family. Some property you could build more than 1 family. So it's important. It's very important for you to do your research. Sit down with yourself or your partner or whoever. Think about what you want to do with this property, this piece of land. Think about what you want to do. And after you come up with what you want to do, you see the land you want, you take the address, you go into zoning, all this before you purchase anything. You go into zoning and you ask zoning, what can I do on this property? They will give you a printout that tell you cannot do this, your fence got to be a certain height, your house got to be a certain way from the road, your house got to be a certain distance from the property line. They give you the whole rundown. So when you get this rundown, you know if this is the whole piece of land I want, or you just leave it and move on to something else. But you have to educate yourself. You have to educate yourself about these things before you get into it. Educate yourself before you get in. Do not go into it blind because you will have situation. Hey, Holy Level, oh, thank you for becoming a member. Truly appreciate that. Thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right, I appreciate that. Welcome. Yes, guys. So it's all about information and knowing what you need to proceed. Because, and please get information from the right people, because some people don't know, and when you ask them, they act like they know. So before you get yourself caught up, you go direct to the office. If you can't do it on the office and you got to do it as an email, you do that. Get the information so you know what you can use this property for. Is this property walkable for me? Can I do what I really want on this property? You got to know these things, because you don't want to get stuck into buying properties that's not walkable for you. Like, for instance, you buy a piece of land, and you want to do farming. You buy a piece of farmland. Yes, the land is zoned for farming. All right, thank you, GT Junior. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Yes, listen me. Listen me. What I'm giving you, the information I'm giving you guys right at this moment. Right at this moment, what I'm giving you guys is, you guys will do research for months getting these information that I'm just giving you just like this. You see what I'm saying? Giving that, I'm just sharing with you just like this. It takes time to do this kind of research. Price, exactly. Exactly. Priceless, exactly. This is valuable information I'm giving you guys here. Valuable information. And I don't just talk just so. I know what before I come out and start talking, I gotta know what I'm talking about. I don't just get up and Google stuff and come out and act like I know what I'm talking about. I know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. Signing. All right. Thank you. Thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate that. Thank you. You're always welcome. I truly appreciate you. All right. Thank you. Hey, Good Eats Home said, how you doing? Thank you for being here. Hey, Riri Rail Star, how you doing? Thank you for being here. What's going on? Yes, guys, you know, tonight is a late night, and I just feel like sharing this information. You know, we talk a lot about gardening, but right now I'm talking about land, because land is important. And if you get land, you could do gardening. And I do think people should be trying to invest in land way a long time ago. Land is important. My thing is, you could buy a piece of land, guys. You could buy a piece of land for $2,000. You could buy a piece of land for $3,000, 4,000, 5. That depends. But the thing is, a lot of people they're so comfortable where they are that they're not willing to go, like, step out of to another place to buy a property. Now, for instance, if you living in a state or a place, wherever of the world you live in, but the area that you live in is very expensive, you can't afford a house there. And all you do is paying rent every day, every month. Because the house is so expensive, you cannot afford it. Why don't you check where you could afford a piece? Why don't you go where you could afford a piece? You see what I'm saying? So that's something to think about. Don't get too comfort in your zone, and at the same time, it's a zone where you cannot buy things that you really would love to have. Sometimes you got to step out of the zone. All right? Hello, John Shoot. How you doing? Thank you for being here. This like community we're living now, but I was just speaking to my wife about this. Very really? Wow. Wow. Yes, yes. So guys, listen. The only thing I try to do is motivate and give people information to uplift them. That's what I do. You see what I'm saying? It's either you take it or you leave it. But sometimes you could take certain information and do your research and see for yourself. Okay? Yes? Exactly. Exactly. So sometimes you can't get too comfortable. You can't get too comfortable. You know, sometimes we get comfortable and struggling. You can't get comfortable struggling. You got to try get out of that struggle. You see what I'm saying? So by doing that, sometimes you got to get up, pack, get up and move to different place. You know what I'm saying? Don't get too comfortable. So all I'm saying is, you can buy land for $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40. Go right up to millions. You can buy land, right? You can buy land to millions from. But what I'm gonna say here now, it might sound crazy, but guys, I don't want you to get offended when I say certain things. You know what I'm saying? But hear what I'm gonna say. Sometimes we run into some funds, and you might have $3, $4, $5,000 that you run into, 2,000, 3,000, whatever, $1,000, whatever. Because I know people run into from time to time. But the first thing we do, please don't get offended about this, because I know people doing this. But I'm not here to offend anyone. I'm just here to look at what makes sense, okay? The first thing some of us do is start shopping. We go on a shopping spree. We have good furniture in our house. We throw them on the street and go buy new furniture. Nothing wrong with them. They was good, strong furniture. We throw them on the street and we go and buy more. We empty our wardrobe and we start buying clothes and bags and shoes and stuff that we had and was doing pretty well. We was doing good with them. But because this little change appear to us, we gone on a shopping spree. You know how much property you could have owned? You know how much piece of land you could have owned all these years you went on shopping spree? You know how your real estate portfolio would stand if you invest instead of running and shopping? Do you understand? So I'm not here, guys, to offend no one because people do get offended when you say certain things. But is it true? I'm telling you, if you wasn't throwing out your clothes that you have and your furniture that you was doing pretty well and your TV that was showing beautiful and your microwave that was working so nice and everything that was working so nice, you throw them out on the street because your couch, right? Because you collect some money and you could have a real estate portfolio all these years. You wasn't doing what you supposed to do. I'm here to wake that up. I know people gonna get mad, but it's okay. The truth is the truth. If we keep doing the right thing and start focusing on the right thing, we're gonna see ourselves in better position. We cannot run anything come out new. We want them. So you're gonna buy. Some people buy their outfit. They going to the party or they going somewhere, and the outfit is $2,000-3,000. Their shoes, their bag, and their whatever. $2,000-3,000. You could have buy a piece of land with that. It ain't, you ain't got that. Listen, me guys. The thing about it is, you ain't got to buy a piece of land. You ain't got to buy 10 acres. You could start from quarter acre. You could start from a house spot. You could start from there and grow. So at the end of the day, you build in your portfolio, your real estate portfolio. You would have all these years, you went shopping, you could have properties just there that you could say, all right, let me sell one now. I need to go on a vacation. I have proper. Let me sell one and go and enjoy myself. You still have more for your children. Oh, what you can do, you could sell and invest bigger. Going to different. No, you see, now you start in the areas where the property was cheap, but now guess what? You stepping into the big areas now. So you see where you could start from scratch, and end up into the big neighborhoods. Who you think, guys, just sit down for a moment. Just think for a moment. Who do you think stop you from getting into these places? No one. Is you stopping yourself. Is we stopping ourselves. Because if we do the right thing, you could end up in neighborhoods that you never dream of. You see what I'm saying? We got to start from scratch. Even as a land, a piece of land that could just hold a house and a liquor yard, that's cool. That same piece of land they might come and sell for $50,000, $80,000, $100,000. You see what I'm saying? So don't look at, oh, I need 10 acres. Oh, I need 5 acres. Oh my goodness, I got to get 10 acres to start. No, you could start from quarter acre and grow into 100 acre. You see what I'm saying? Or take yourself into beautiful neighborhood that you never dream of. You see? So that's all I'm saying. Don't get mad. I'm not here to discriminate. I'm not here to judge anyone. Not here to do that. I don't judge people. I'm just having a conversation. So, guys, I hope this information could motivate You guys are somebody tonight. I'm hoping it can. All right, let me check the chat. I'm looking for land also. I prepare where I'm financially able to purchase, striving to be fruitful. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Hey, Texas Lala, how you doing? I'm looking for a community to. Well, you know what? And this is the thing, my Renaissance grandma. Now is the time for people to actually come together and make this work. You see what I'm saying? Like, for instance, there's a community. Come together. Come together and start buying, owning. You know, you can't just sit and talk. You gotta move to action. But it's so difficult for the come together. It's so difficult. That's what a lot of other people doing. That's what they're doing. Let me tell you where a lot of people do. Some people come into the poorest neighborhood and buy out the land them, the house them, and rent them out. But they're not living there. Where they living is different. But guess what? They come in there and buy them. So why you can't start from scratch? That's what they do. They come in and buy them out and rent them to people. But they're not living in their neighborhood. They live in somewhere else. Yes, know yourself. Yes, yes. Oh, okay, okay, all right. So Texas have no income tax, but has property tax. Okay, got you, got you, got you. Right. I agree with that. I agree with that, Jones Show. Yes, guys. I hope this information was helpful. I'm hoping that this information was helpful because I know a lot of people, lots of people today is actually very interested in owning land and trying to own land. You see what I'm saying? Plenty people is trying to do that now, but the information, the real information, because you got to understand, if there's someone that really want to sell a piece of land, even the land is flood zone, the land is in a flood zone, they're not going to tell you that. They're not going to come and tell you, oh, well, the land is in a flood zone, so it's your decision. No, they're going to just sell you the land, even though they know it's in a flood zone. So this is why I'm saying, this is what I'm saying. Do your research. before you get into buying. What I will say is one of the best investment you can do right now is owning a piece of land. And stop, sit back and think you got to own 10 acres to start. No, you got to own quarter acre. And that quarter acre could make you, if you know what you're doing, the quarter acre could lead you to 20 acres. You see what I'm saying? All it needs for your land to develop and the value to go up, all it needs is houses start building around it. That's what it needs. Houses, or make it worse. A company, McDonald's and all them stuff start to come in. Make it worse in the neighborhood, your value starts skyrocketing. For your small piece of land you buy for your little fraction. No, you could say, all right, okay, if you want to sell this, you could sell this and go and buy more land. And you know, this women, like I said, I have my blueprint on my channel that I only did one video. I have 3 more to come that will guide you to become a real estate owning land, even property, without borrowing money from the bank. Yes. Yes, good information to help all of us go ahead with land. You expand your yes. Thank you. Always wait until the rain and take another look at the property. Know how the land is on. Yes, definitely. This is what I'm saying. Research. Know what you want the property for. See for yourself. And guys, please do not just send someone and believe that you don't need to be there to see the land for yourself. You know, some people are going to say, okay, you go and check out the land for me. Tell me how the land is, and you know, please see for yourself. See for yourself. See the vision of the land. See if it's something you want. See if it's something you can work with, because at the end of the day, it's for you. Always remember, know what you want the land for. Is it an investment or is it something you want to use? Always check zoning, know what you can do on the property. Make sure, check the flood zone. Make sure the property is not in a flooded zone. Make sure all these things. These things is very important, guys. But I will say again, one of the best investment you could do is owning land. Doesn't matter where you at, what part of the world you at. This is not just for one place. This is for wherever you at. Land. Land don't rotten. Land always there. I want retirement land for me to live on my... Exactly. Thank you for encouraging us to just start. Yes, thank you. No problem. Yeah. So I'm going to be doing a lot of videos about this. Today we talk about land, and we're going to talk about property the next. Well, guys, you know I go live every Thursday. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But that mostly, we talk about mostly gardening. But I'm going to do some live about property. So we do land tonight. We're going to do property. My thing is, sometimes you just got to do what you can do. Sometimes we sit back and in our mind, we want a piece of land, but we're looking at something that we cannot afford. And by doing that, that could hinder you from owning anything because you're looking at something that you cannot afford. Why you don't look at something that you could afford? So it's a start, meaning don't have the picture of your 10 acres. You could have the picture of quarter acres, quarter acre. Because maybe that's what you could afford. Maybe later, this same quarter acre might help you to buy 10 acres. So starting from scratch, nothing wrong with that. Or starting from the bottom, nothing wrong with that. Many people had dreams and vision of owning hundreds of acres. But guess what? Guess why they never own that land, that hundred of acres? Because they believe they could have just go and buy it. One day they're gonna get enough finance to go and buy it. But the vision was start where you could afford it. If you could afford 1 acre, start where you could afford 1 acre. That 1 acre could transform and build you over the years into your 100. You see what I'm saying? You have to start somewhere. Sometimes we looking at the big picture, but we don't look at the road to take us to the big picture. And this is what's important. The road that take you to the big picture. The big picture is there at school. It's good to look at. But there's a road, there's a blueprint that take you to that big picture. And that's what you got to follow, the blueprint. So yes, 10 acres is beautiful, but if you could own a quarter is better than none. A quarter is better than none. That's where you start. That quarter acre gonna encourage you to buy more. That's all I'm saying, guys. I would love 10 acres, just would know that to do with it. Right, I will stay with it. Right, exactly. You stay where you're comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Because owning 10 acres, you surely got to have something in mind. It's either you buy it for investment or you buy it to do something. It could be a retirement. It could be for your retirement, where if you retire, you could always either you pass it down to your children or whatever you decide to do with it, because it's yours. But I do believe in passing down things to children. I do believe in giving kids a jump start in life. I do believe kids need a jump start because it ain't easy to start from zero. So if they come out of college or high school and you already have them lined up with a property or a piece of land or some finance, that's a jump start. They could start from where? The platform you provide for them. They could start from there. So that is like a jump start. So I do believe in generation wealth. But at the same time, if you reach to retirement and you ain't got the finance and you ain't got the income and you got to do what you got to do to survive, to keep you up going, because you have no income. But you know, guys, I don't want to go too much. I think that's enough information for one session, because sometimes too much information, some slip away. So I'm going to end it here tonight. I just hope that this live really motivate somebody tonight. And I'm hoping that it can encourage people to get into real estate. You ain't got to own no big money for getting into real estate. You just got to be smart. You just got to look at things. You just got to look at things you could afford. Sometimes the dream is there, but there's a blueprint to take you to your dream. It don't just pop and happen. There's things you got to do to take you to your dream. So look at the big picture, but also look at the blueprint that take you to the big picture. Thank you guys so much for coming out tonight. Thank you guys for even being here, listening to me. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you for coming out. Thank you guys. I truly appreciate you guys. You guys had a blessed and wonderful week. And don't forget, I'll be live Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we're going to be talking about gardening. This week going to be question and answers. This week, I'm going to be answering questions about gardening because guess what? The gardening season this year, and this is the time for us to be conversating about gardening. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Good Eats. I appreciate you coming out. Thank you. Thank you, my Renaissance grandmother. Thank you, GT Junior. Thank you, Texas Lala. Thank you, Riri, Real Star. Thank you, Jones Shoot 67. Thank everybody for coming out here tonight. All right, thank you. Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you, Fifi Johnny. I appreciate you. Yes, good information. Thanks for sharing this and for the. All right, all right. Okay, so thank you guys. See you on the next one. All right. Peace and love.